Ladies and gentlemen, the word news spelled backwards is Swen, and it's time for Swen. Winnipeg fashion mogul Peter Nygard, shown here crossed with a lion, announced this week he is funding stem cell research in order to prolong human life. Insiders tell another story, saying he's in fact trying to isolate the elusive shoulder pad gene. Currently, the week thus far, Peter Nygard's aging scale is sitting at tanned Gandalf. So, hopefully it works. Recently, a CBC Commission poll found that only 48% of Quebecers who speak exclusively English feel welcome in Quebec. This is a startling difference from the Francophone population, 92% of which feel English-speaking Canadians are not welcome in Quebec. Chelsea Crawford, a woman from Nova Scotia, was slapped by a whale while whale watching on a boat in Mexico. Crawford stated that being smacked by the whale definitely hurt. Sources say that the situation escalated, though, when Crawford grabbed the whale's weave and kicked it in its whale vagina. She ain't lying. Scientists have started using high-resolution satellite imagery to monitor and record polar bears in remote regions, which are also very expensive to get to. This method has proved to be successful, as researchers have already discovered Susan doesn't know it, but Becky and Paul have been spending a lot of time together alone by the creek, and Jack was the one who took the seal meat out of the cave. As a part of a bill that takes aim at sexual predators, the federal government plans to create a publicly accessible online database of high-risk sex offenders. Suing for patent infringement are Craigslist and Plenty of Fish. Local restaurant Casa Burrito delighted its patrons last Friday with an all-you-can-eat taco night, said one satisfied food critic. Natula burrito. The human Barbie, Valeria Lukyanova, has stated that she is on her way to existing on a diet of light and air alone. We at The Week Thus Far are disappointed in the human Barbie. We expected this kind of thing from Skipper, but not from you. You are a doctor and an astronaut. Friends involved in Justin Bieber's life have reported the young singer is going harder in the paint than ever since living in Atlanta. Since the move, the pop star has reportedly been on a steady diet of marijuana and scissorp, and has recently had a tantrum when a friend tried to take away his Sizippy cup. Nestle is recalling two varieties of Hot Pockets, the Philly Steak and Cheese and the Croissant Philly Steak and Cheese, as a part of a massive USDA recall of 8.7 million pounds of meat. The Hot Pockets are said to contain diseased and unsound animals. Nestle reacted quickly to the news of the USDA recall, noting our meat is diseased or unsound, never both. Unaffected by the recall, the diseased and unsound Steak-'em Breakfast Slurry Hot Pocket. Sounds good. And like liquid. Good news coming out of the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta. The obesity rates for children 2 to 5 in the United States have dropped 43% in the past decade. Bad news coming out of the CDC in Atlanta. America has obesity rates for children 2 to 5. All right. In recent weeks, Uganda and the United States, Kansas, and Arizona have made headlines for enacting extreme new anti-gay laws. In related news, Russia has invited them all over for a post-Olympics fondue party and some light hot tubbing. As a recap of the last joke, recently, SB 1062, a law in Arizona that has been described as anti-gay, has caused a furor with homosexual advocates on both sides of the border. While the bill was ultimately vetoed, the controversy remains. We call on our senior sensitive affairs correspondent, Dr. Bill O'Reilly, to explain some of the details regarding the bill. Welcome to the show, Dr. Bill O'Reilly.
Thank you for having me, Dan.
Oh, not a problem. So the bill was vetoed by Arizona Governor Jan Brewer because many people felt it encouraged discrimination against homosexuals.
Now, Dan, that is ridiculous. First off, it is a religious freedom bill. There's no discrimination against homosexuals in it. We do not disapprove of homosexuals. What we disapprove of is homosexual acts.
Some might say that seems like an arbitrary distinction, though, that homosexual acts and homosexuality are basically linked together.
Well, I'm happy to have that debate, Dan. First off, yes, it is completely arbitrary, but let me use a less controversial example, if I may. Dan, I love Asians, but I hate Asian acts. For instance, how they have an increased amount of melanin in their skin, leading to a darker skin tone. Different features. That makes me uncomfortable. Statistically speaking, Dan, they tend to be shorter than me, probably so they can skulk in shadows better. Oftentimes, Dan, they speak a whole different language with a different culture that I don't understand. Those are acts of exclusion, and where I come from, that's discriminatory. Because look, no way I'm learning Asian, Dan. So, I don't hate Asians. I hate what intrinsically makes people Asian. Why can't Asian people be more like me, Dan? I'm not saying they're an abomination, okay? We're not talking about people who eat shellfish here.
I believe many Asian people do eat shellfish, though.
You said it, Dan, not me.
Okay, all right. You know what? Your example is both controversial and stupid, and also makes you sound pretty racist, I'll be honest. I don't think it has anything to do with homophobia.
Whoa, let's not try and make this about homophobia, Dan, okay? I have no problems with homophobia. Some of my best friends are homophobes. My be-sainted father was a homophobe, Dan.
This is about equal rights, not your hatred.
Well, look, I'm happy to have that debate. Equal rights are a noble goal, so long as they are for everyone, not just me, but people exactly like me. Dan, it's like the Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself. So if your neighbor isn't as yourself, you're under no obligation to extend them basic human decency. Daniel, Asian, homosexual, they're all on the same boat as far as I'm concerned, so long as that boat is sailing away.
Wow. Is that all? Is that all you've got to say?
Teach the controversy, Dan.
Oh, man. Well, that's great. Plenty of time for the rest of the show. None for you, Bill O'Reilly. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Bill O'Reilly, truly an idiot. I don't believe we screen any of these people.
I'm just saying what I'm all thinking.
All right. That's the news, everyone. We'll be back with Judy Wasylycia-Leis.